back to Miss Celine. So despite me being in the kitchen, I'm not doing anything cooking related. I just am waiting on my dinner. So anyways, today I am going to be doing another painting video. After seeing how my Scream painting turned out. I guess Patrick liked the painting, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but he said, maybe you can do a painting for me. And I said, you got it, dude. He was kind of playing around with a couple of different ideas, and he ended up deciding he wanted a Judge Dredd painting. So we were sitting in bed together, and I was kind of scrolling through some Judge Dredd art, and we landed on this piece of art here. And I'm going to try to basically recreate this. I don't know if it's going to be exactly the same or if I'm going to change anything. Probably not, because I'm not that kind of a creative person. But yeah, I just want to make a little painting for Patrick. And so I'm probably, again, I don't really like to do just, like if I don't have someone to kind of be like playing off of, I don't really like to, talk while I'm painting, just explaining what I'm doing, because that's kind of boring. I cut a lot of that out of my Scream painting, and instead I'm probably just going to do some fun facts about Judge Dredd, maybe the comics, Judge Dredd, like the movies, and just do a little bit of fun facts and interesting things about that. And I'll try not to say interesting as much as I did in the last one, because I said it a lot. Anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that after I eat my dinner. Yummy lasagna! So my sources for this are Wikipedia and MTV.com. So I'm gonna start by just reading a quote pulled directly from Wikipedia. Judge Joseph Dredd is a fictional character created by writer John Wagner and artist Carlos Esquerra. I'm pretty sure that there is supposed to be a tongue roll there, but I'm going to spare you guys that because I've never been able to do that, even after taking Spanish for a year in high school. Anywho, back to the quote. He first appeared in the second issue of 2000 AD in 1977, which is a British weekly anthology comic. He is the magazine's longest-running character. He also appears in a number of film and video game adaptations. So for those of you who don't know, Judge Dredd is basically a law enforcement officer, and he patrols a futuristic city known as Megacity 1. This city spans over the majority of the eastern coast of North America. He is what's called a street judge that is given the power to arrest, convict, and even execute lawbreakers. There have been 2 different live-action Judge Dredd movies, the first being in 1995, starring Sylvester Stallone. The second came out in 2012 and had Keith Urban as the leading man. There was also an audio drama in which Dredd was voiced by Toby Longworth. The first Judge Dredd story takes place in the dystopian future in 2099, which was 122 years after its publication in 1977. Most of his stories, in fact, take place 122 years after the real-world publication dates. The exceptions to this are if the story is a prequel, if it's like a flashback, or if it's already been previously stated to be otherwise. So, for instance, if you were reading a Judge Dredd comic from this year in 2023, then it would basically be set in 2145 in the book. As previously stated, the story takes place on a futuristic Earth that has been damaged by many an internal conflict. A large part of the Earth is radioactive, and because of it, the population mostly lives in areas known as megacities. Judge Dredd's story is centered around one such city known as Megacity 1, which is on the eastern part of North America. extensive automation has caused a large chunk of the population to be without jobs, and because of this, many of the occupants tend to just go with whatever crazy things happen in their city. Outside of the city, in the desert wasteland, there's an abundance of outlaws and mutants. Other than the megacities that are visited in the comic strips, not much is known about the rest of the Earth's landscape and the geography outside. As far as the judging system goes, street judges act as judge, jury, and executioner for anyone who is breaking the law. Though capital punishment isn't regularly used, criminals are often killed while resisting arrest. Many of the writers use the judging system as a satire of current policing. Not only do the judges act as law enforcement, but they are also essentially the government as well, due to the fall of the United States in 2070 following World War III. Judges are considered to be the ruling class. And then I am going to finish up with just a handful of fun facts about Judge Dredd. One of the most interesting ones is that he's had a handful of different crossovers, including, but not limited to. Actually, I'm pretty sure it's limited to. I didn't do that far of research. Including him going up against a predator as well as xenomorphs. And then he also hits the streets in Gotham at one point, and he actually gets to meet Batman, which, who hasn't met Batman at this point? Let's be honest. Several of the biggest names in comics got their start by writing for Judge Dredd magazine, including the likes of Garth Ennis, who wrote Preacher, Mark Miller, who wrote Kick-Ass and Wanted, and then Grant Morrison, which we all know and love, who wrote All-Star Superman and Batman Incorporated. So Judge Dredd's weapon of choice is actually a handgun known as the Lawgiver, and it is encoded with his DNA so that if anyone else decides that they want to try to use his gun, it will just explode on them. Judge Dredd was meant to be an unspecified race, but not all of the artists who worked on the series seem to have gotten the memo. Because of this, Mike McMahon drew him as a black man for 4 months, though it went mostly unnoticed because the comic strip was in black and white. And then the final Judge Dredd fact that I have for you guys is, I think, probably one of the most interesting ones, besides, him meeting Batman and the Alien and Predator. In the comics, Judge Dredd never removed his helmet. In the 1995 version with Sylvester Stallone, they have his helmet off pretty much the whole time. I guess they felt they paid all this money for a big name actor, so they might as well show his face. But they actually stayed true to the helmet on rule of Judge Dredd in the 2012 film with Carl Urban. So in the comics, like I said, they never really removed his helmet other than if it's like a flashback to his youth, they would have him with his helmet off. But of what I understand from my research, they would have it to where either he was a young boy or you still wouldn't be able to make out his face. But I know later on, they have him take off his helmet at one point, but they cover it with a sensor bar so you can't actually see his face. I guess at some point you just have to put the paintbrush down and be done. So I'm just going to call it finished. I'm going to go ahead and show Patrick now.
Mommy! Your painting's done!
Oh, wow.
Do you like it?
I love it.
I worked real hard on the lettering. It's still not perfect, but if you squint...
I love it. Let me take a picture.
No. I did good.
You did so good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.